So you mentioned that there are some means we can take that are outside of the system that we as Muslims can take. From that, a lot of people ask the question, is protesting from the means, is protesting in a non-Muslim country, is it from the means that are permissible for us to undertake to try and impact some kind of change?
Okay, before we place a ruling on the issue of mudaharat, protesting, the scholars, they say, al-hukmu ala shay' far'un an tasawwuri. To place a ruling on something, you have to first of all have a correct perception of it. So there are terms which are slightly similar to mudaharat in the Arabic language or in English demonstration, which is what is called sit-in or strikes.
Okay, what's that?
So sit-in, for example, in the Arabic, their language, they call it i'tisamat. It basically means a group of people come together, they sit somewhere, and they said, we're not going to move until this is done. And strikes, we see a lot in the UK, especially London, bus strikes happen, or hunger strikes or whatever. All of these are what we're talking about.
Okay.
So we mean that by the concept of demonstration and that protest, and we mean all of that. The mudaharat are types. So if we don't mention the types of mudaharat, then we can't give one blank ruling for all of them.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's why I feel like many people who spoke about it, whether it be in the Arabic language or whether it be in English language, or even many people who've written books on it, whether it be shuyukh and mashayikh who've written it, a lot of them, personally, in my personal opinion, they didn't deal with the issue in a very scholastic, scholarly method, a lot of them. And the reason for that being, they didn't mention the aqsam al-mudaharat, the types of mudaharat there is, and then each one given its suitable ruling. They gave a complete ruling for different types, and then it's always a type that doesn't really fall under that reasoning. So the types of mudaharat are the following. The first one is mudaharat, which is with the intention and the aim of changing the system.
Okay.
And that happens in three forms. The first one, which is trying to change the system or trying to upthrow the system. And it happens in three different ways. It's either in a Muslim country where that Muslim country doesn't allow protesting. The second one is it's trying to change a system where it's under a Muslim power, under Muslims, a Muslim leader, like it doesn't prevent people from doing mudaharat.
The Muslim leader allows protesting?
He allows it.
Okay.
And the third one is under a non-Muslim country.
Okay.
So it's not a Muslim country. The second type is mudaharat, protesting that is done with the aim and the objective of changing a situation from the situations that are there. You're not trying to put the system down. You're not trying to drop the government or anything or upthrow the government. The aim here is just taghyiru hal. You just want a situation to be changed from the situations out there, or you want to take a position in something. The third form, which is the last, is that the aim for this protest is just to bring to the government, to their attention, a particular issue like global warming or something like that. Bring this situation to the world. Those are the three forms. So the scholars, they gave a ruling on mudaharat. They said it's not allowed, it's not permissible. They got it from the Quran and the Sunnah. But they had to explain their reason for why it's haram. And there's 5 points which they took. The first point is that it's بِأَنَّهَا بِدْعَةٌ مُحْدَثَةٌ. They said it's a newly invented matter. The second reason is because بِأَنَّهَا مِنَ التَّشَبُّهِ بِالْكُفَّارِ. It's imitating the non-Muslims. The third reason they gave is that they said this is min wasa'il al-inkar, a means of rejecting something. And the means of rejecting something has to be taken from the Quran and the Sunnah. The fourth one is بِأَنَّهَا مِنَ الْخُرُوجِ عَلَى وَلِي الْأَمْرِ. It's going against the Muslim leader. And the fifth reason the mudaharat that they said is not allowed is because لا تخلو من مخالفات. There is in it things that are in opposition to the Quran and the Sunnah, وَأَنَّهَا يَتَرَتَّبُ عَلَيْهَا مَفَاسِدِ. And there are harm and problems that come from the mudaharat. Let me go through each reasoning that the scholars gave. Not all of them are valid. The first one, which is, it's a newly invented matter. To say that something is newly invented, it means, to say something is newly invented and it's an innovation, it means that this person is attributing this to the religion. So there are a group of people who basically do believe that mudaharat is a ibadah, an act of worship, These people, yes, this applies on them. It's an innovation. Where's your evidence for it? And they won't be able to bring any evidence for it. Because it's a newly invented matter, it's an innovation, and we then read a hadith, مَنْ عَمِلَ عَمَلَ لَيْسَ عَلَيْهِ أَمْرُنَا فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. But there's a party of people who say, no, for us, it's not an act of worship. It's actually an aada, a norms. And a norms, we can't refer to it as a bid'ah because it's outside the realm of ibadah. It can only be considered an act of aada or a mu'amala to be considered it to be innovation. The person has to have done it for what? يقصد بها التقرب والتعبد لله. So what we understand is that,
just translate that in English.
That the person is trying to get closer to Allah by this action, or they are trying to worship Allah through it.
Okay.
So if a norms or a custom and a mu'amala is done to get closer to Allah by it, and you're doing it to worship Allah, then it becomes an innovation if it's not legislated. So a man says, I'm not going to marry a woman and I'm going to get closer to Allah by that. The Prophet said that's bid'ah. But he could leave the woman if he wants to. He doesn't have to marry if he doesn't want to. But to say, I'm going to get closer to Allah by not getting married to any woman, it's an innovation. Even though originally it's what? It's a mu'amala, or it's an aada, or it's a mu'amala, which the person could just do if they wanted to. But now that they've chosen to get closer to Allah by, it becomes an innovation.
Okay.
So a group of people will say, I am doing the mudaharat, and my aim and objective is not to get closer to Allah by it. I'm not worshipping Allah with this action. And it's a means. It's just a means for me. So we'll come to that one. The second reason that some scholars bring forward by saying that it's imitating the non-Muslims, again, is also a very weak argument. The reason is because what is a dabit for tashabbuh? And we kind of mentioned that before. What's the dabit for tashabbuh? Yani what is tashabbuh of the kuffar? Tashabbuh bil kuffar, Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah has a kitab, one of the strongest books that's written in this field of tashabbuh. There are many books written on it, but one of the greatest books is the kitab Iqtida' as-Sirat al-Mustaqim Mukhalafat Ashab al-Jahim by Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Taymiyyah clearly and categorically, and also Shatibi and other great scholars mention that the real or the concrete point for tashabbuh is that this is an action لا يفعله إلا الكفار. Only the non-Muslims do this. Yani it's khas for the kuffar, uniquely known for them. And if it's something that the people all do out of norms, this is not a tashabbuh, even if the non-Muslims do it. It has to be something uniquely known for them. And rather, we see this concept of mudaharat actually present at the early times of Islam. For example, Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, when the people went against Uthman and they uprose against Uthman radiallahu anhu, and they took him down on Khalifatul Rashid, Uthman ibn Affan, that was demonstration. And then it turned into violence. Also, we have the issue of Abdurrahman ibn al-Ash'ad, when he went against Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. That was mudaharat. And it was happening at that time. So it's saying it's a thing done by the non-Muslims. I mean, it's very far-fetched. And also, this concept of rejecting oppression and pushing away oppression, and it's something which human beings are generally used to doing that. Whatever means they take is different. But people don't like to be oppressed and they don't like to be wronged. So again, the concept of it being a tashabbuh bil kuffar is also not a strong argument. Now we are left with a point which is that it's going against an oppressive Muslim leader. And that's, again, not applying it to the lands of the non-Muslims.
Correct.
Because if it's oppressive, the Muslim leader is one of two situations. He's either a rightful, he's a righteous, noble, just leader. He's a just leader. Of course, people wouldn't generally want to go uprise against that one, except dim-witted, ignorant people. The second one is that he's an oppressive leader. And this we have clear-cut evidences that state that we can't go against the oppressive Muslim leader, which the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, patience, endurance. And the three things that we do for that Muslim oppressive leader is to make dua for Allah to guide him. That's clear evidences for that. We go and we give him nasihah, we advise him. And the third one is as-sabr, patience on what he's doing to the Muslims. But that doesn't apply to non-Muslim countries. So we now come to the non-Muslim country.
Okay.
The fourth one is that it's a means of rejecting. So wasa'ilul inkar. Their argument is, Habibi, Akhi, I'm rejecting falsehood. Now, you might ask yourself, isn't that, if you're rejecting falsehood, is that not innovation again? Or the first one that we mentioned? What's the difference between the two? The difference between it is wasila means can lead to good and it can also lead to bad.
Okay.
Whereas bid'ah only leads to bad because it's not something. Also, the wasila, the means a person can take, there are specific evidences that come for it. Whereas the bid'ah, of course, is without evidences. Also, means can enter into ibadat, mu'amalat, adat, acts of worship, people's interactions, and it can also enter people's norms and customs. Bid'ah only enters acts of worship. So they say it's wasila for me then, which is the fourth reason. It's a wasila. So now what we have to do is we have to divide the wasila means into two. There's a wasila known as a wasila mahda. It's pure means. And we have to do this in order to understand the whole discussion and the whole dialogue.
Okay.
The wasila mahda, it's pure wasila. It's pure wasila. The wasila which is mahda is, the person intends this action. He intends this means in order to reach something. But this means cannot be detached from the means. That is a pure means. It's a means that's connected to the objective. Like walking to the masjid, for example. If someone walks, he doesn't get rewarded for it by itself.
Right, okay.
But the minute he walks to the masjid, the reward is connected to it's connected to. He walks to a brothel, the punishment is on him. So the walking, it's a pure means, meaning it's purely connected to the aim and objective. There's another one which is called wasa'il nisbiya, means which by itself can stand. Like wudu, for example. Wudu, whether you're doing it for salah or not, just by doing wudu itself is a reward.
Okay, yeah.
By itself, it's a means that can stand by itself.
Okay.
That's important that we understand it. Another point that I want us to understand is that there is a qa'idah for us, which is called al-wasa'il lahkamul maqasid. The means takes the ruling of its objectives. So if the objective is wajib, the means becomes wajib,
right,
as long as that means is not prohibited. Pay attention to that. If, for example, going to the masjid for the men is wajib, right? So the only way you can go to the masjid is by driving. Driving becomes obligatory.
I see.
The means takes the ruling of the objective. As long as that means is not haram. If you take a means which is haram, then it's not permissible. The means has to be permitted, allowed.
Okay.
There's a qa'idah shaytaniyah that some people use, which is al-ghayatu tubarriru al-wasila, which is nothing to do with Islam. It's a qa'idah shaytaniyah, which means the goal justifies the means. The goal justifies the means. And when you look at the mudaharat today that we see, that's the qa'idah that is built upon. The goals justify the means. So the means here can be corrupt. So this qa'idah shaytani, which is al-ghayatu tubarriru al-wasila, has nothing to do with Islam. That the goal justifies the means. And that if a person wants to, example, do something which is evil, and something good, if he takes an evil means for it, it's no problem. Example is, for example, I steal 10 dirhams from you, but I give 9 in sadaqah and I just take 1.
Okay.
So, how many sins do I get? 1, right? But I've given 9 sadaqah. وهكذا. The person thinks like that. This is الغاية لا تبرر الوسيلة. Just because you're trying to achieve a goal doesn't mean the means justifies it.
Okay.
And this is what demonstration falls under. Now, I need to speak about something very important, which is means in da'wah tawqifiyya or is it ijtihadiyya? And I think this is very important. And this is what I'm trying to get to. In order to reject falsehood, which is a means of da'wah, is it tawqifiyya or is it ijtihadiyya? What does it mean? Does it have to be taken from the Quran and the Sunnah, or can it be independent reasoning? There are also 3 terms that people generally try to use with the concept of wasila, means. They use the word wasa'id, and the issue of dhara'i, and the issue of maslaha. Before I answer that question, I have to explain those 3.
Okay.
Dhara'i, for example, is microphones. They say, for example, if you say that the means has to be sanctioned by the Sharia, Allah Azza wa Jalla, they say microphones. And they say, for example, radios and mobile phones and things that we use for khair. You see?
For da'wah.
For da'wah. We say that's not wasila. That's wasa'id. It just projects what's there. It doesn't interfere with the message itself.
Okay.
Okay, and there's also something called dhara'i', which is a term that's also used similar to wasa'il. Dhara'i' are things that will always lead to evil. Okay. And there's a third term which is maslahatul mursala. Whether maslahatul mursala exists or not, I'm not going to be speaking about that there. Yeah, I've already explained my position on masalih mursala. That the masalih are three types: masalih mu'tabara, masalih mulghat, and masalih mursala. In the Sharia, there's only maslaha mu'tabara and maslahatul mulghat. Amma maslaha mursala, we don't believe that. And anyone who claims there is maslaha mursala, anyone who claims it, will say either this maslaha was mu'tabara, the Sharia already stated it and you didn't know about it, or it's mulghat, the Sharia dismissed it.
What's the best translation for it in English?
It's benefits that came about after.
Okay.
So even if we do say that maslaha mursala exists, just so we get the discussion flowing, maslaha mursala means it's a means that will lead to good. That's why it's called maslaha mursala. So it's a means that will lead to good. When we look at the means that is taken for protesting, it doesn't lead to good. It leads to evil. It's actually closer to being dhara'i' than maslaha mursala. It's a what? It's a dhari'a. Meaning, dhari'a is like, for example, a man touching a woman, which will lead to what? Zina. Okay? Mudaharat leads to evil, which is going to bring us to this point, which is the last and final point, which is the harms that are in protesting. Protesting, first of all, goes against the da'wah of the prophets, which work towards what we mentioned before, islahur ra'iyyah, changing the people, yani from the bottom upwards. Protesting is from the top to the bottom, which we will get fighting against. It goes against the da'wah of the prophets and the prophets. The prophets started with the people. They go to the leaders first. Second thing that it has is protest is id'afu aslul wala'i wal bara'. It corrupts the concept of al-wala' wal bara'. The third one is people lose their lives and blood sheds. And a lot of the protests that happen. 4, people lose their honors and people rob and steal people's belongings, and people Black Lives Matter, for example. Muslim people suffered more from it because it started in Minneapolis. People own shops, were losing their products and everything. Ikhtilal al-amn, it destroys safety. It disrupts the people's day to day. Roads get blocked off, people can't go to work, people are stressed, what route am I going to take? Also, it opens the door for the criminals. Fathul majali lil-mufsidin min al-mujrimin wal-mukharribin. Corrupt people are there. اختلاط الرجال بالنساء, men and women are going to free mix. It's also الصد عن ذكر الله وعن الصلاة. It prevents the people from remembering Allah tabarak wa ta'ala and the salah, and the people miss the salah from this. Also, this is opportunity. I know brothers who said, yeah, I met a girl there, I go there because I want to get her number. تضيع الأوقات والأموال فيما لا خير فيه. People waste their time and their money in things that don't have no benefit sometimes. Also, the way to go about things is either nasiha, knock on the door, advise a person, or make dua for Allah to guide him or whatever, or be patient. Another problem that we see it is raf'u sha'arat al-jahiliyyah. People are pulling up symbols that are not Islamic. Sometimes concept that are shirkiyat and kufriyat when you look at the billboards. Also, finally, it's a way of actually affirming the concept of democracy and secular liberal states. Democracy can't exist if there's no demonstration. The whole concept of democracy is what? The people. The power is in the hands of the people. It's giving the people. The word democracy, it means the people, the power is in the hands of the people. The people choose. So it goes against fun, and Allah is the one who chooses what can be or can't be. Finally, mudaharat is about what do the majority think. That's when the government starts looking. If a minority is screaming, they don't care. And the majority are always going to choose what is corrupt and not which is good. So the fifth reason is what the real strongest point is, Shahid, which is the final one. لا تخلو من مخالفات. The first 4 are not strong.
Okay, especially in a non-Muslim country.
The strongest reason for mudaharat is, I'm talking about non-Muslim country. For the Muslim country, the issue of
khuruj is obviously
that's there. Okay. But the non-Muslim country I'm talking about. The non-Muslim country, the strongest way to speak against democracy, protest and demonstration is to say بأنها لا تخلو من مخالفات وأنها يترتب عليها مفاسد.
And I want to go into this. You've mentioned a lot of information, and I want to break it down. I want to go into this. So at first you mentioned that there are actually 3 types of protests. There is one to overthrow the government, and that breaks down into 3. There's one in the Muslim country with a Muslim leader who doesn't allow protest. And then there's one in the Muslim leader of the Muslim country who does allow protest, and then you've got the non-Muslim country with a non-Muslim leader. The second type of protest is when you're not trying to overthrow a ruler, but you're trying to change one of his laws, for example. And then the third type is you're not trying to change anything, but you're just trying to raise awareness of a particular issue. I want to go back and really apply some of these 5 reasons why protests are haram and see where they fit into this. The first one, you have a Muslim country with a Muslim leader who is not allowing you to protest. Obviously, the reason why this is not permissible is because of khuruj. Agreed?
It's a Muslim country and he's not allowing you to do it.
Yeah. What if it's a Muslim leader in a Muslim country and he is allowing protests? Does this still take the ruling of khuruj or not?
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It goes under khuruj, even if the Muslim leader allows it. The reason is because Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen pointed this out. It's very important. He says that the Muslim leader generally does it because of pressure from outside. The non-Muslim country is saying you're not a democratical state. You don't govern by democracy. So to please them, he says to the people, you can uprise. But he's really finding it as a problem.
Okay.
And so the Muslims, they were already commanded way before anybody. You know, when we say we don't go against the leader, we're not doing it because of him. We're doing it because Allah's messenger told us this. So yes, it's not allowed for us to go.
Okay. Now we come to the non-Muslim countries. And this is where we can talk about 3 different things. Overthrowing a non-Muslim ruler. Using a protest to overthrow a non-Muslim government in a non-Muslim country. Out of the 5 that you mentioned, the reasons for protesting not being permissible, which one applies here?
The last one, which is بأنها لا يخلو من مخالفات.
Okay, this applies to all 3. Overthrowing a non-Muslim ruler, whether you're trying to change a legislation or whether you're trying to raise awareness, you're saying protesting is always going to fail because of this last one.
The last one is for everywhere.
Okay, here's a question then. You've just connected things to protesting, like free mixing, like missing the salawat. You've connected these things to protesting. I'm saying, what if there's a protest? This is not a ruling for protesting in and of itself. You have a protest that takes place between Fajr and Dhuhr. No salah is being missed. It is segregated. Just brothers come to protest, no one else. Is this permissible or not?
If my reasoning for saying that there's an opposition in it was only that reason, there's many reasons.
Okay, go on. There's no robbing the stores. There's no breaking down. It's a peaceful protest.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
It's first of all, as-saddu an dhikrillahi wa an salah. It prevents the people from the remembrance of Allah because people chant. Each one, let me go through it.
Okay, let me go through each one. You want to challenge each one, or you want to go through to the end and then I'll start bringing my challenges?
Okay, let me mention the biggest reasons.
Okay, bring the biggest.
The first one is تقرير المبادئ الكفرية. You're affirming like one of the strongest branches of democracy. Democracy stands on protest. This is a democratical system. If people don't demonstrate and people don't vote and democracy crumbles. This is what democracy is about. Voting, demonstration, protesting, all these things are the branches, usul, that democracy stands on. So by not doing these things, by not voting, people will destroy democracy. Democracy will go out of the window. You're
not going to destroy democracy in a non-Muslim land where you're a very minute percentage. The Muslims are a very small percentage. By you not protesting, you haven't destroyed democracy. All you've done is bring more harm onto yourself because the government have said, if you want us to change something, this is the way you do it. And guess what we've done? We've sat at home. We haven't changed anything. I already told
you before. Allah says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اصبروا وصابروا ورابطوا واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون. فلاح. Success, we're already being told it.
And I agree that we should do that. You know, what you mentioned for the first 2 hours.
But I'm not gonna take a path I know it's corrupt. And the means, I just told you right now, what's happening here? This means that I'm taking right now, or this, it's got mafasid connected to it. As-saddu an dhikrillah wa an salah. اختلاط الرجال بالنساء.
I just said a protest. There's no free mixing. I want to get to the issue of protesting itself in and of itself.
Oh no, that's my point. You see, in the Sharia, so some things in and within itself, it hasn't got a ruling because demonstration itself غير منضبط.
Okay.
It's all over the place. I'll give you an example. Traveling right now. Traveling. What's the reason why we can have rukhsa? Why can we fast in the month of Ramadan when we're travelers?
Because the Prophet
because the fasting itself. Sorry, because it's the traveling itself.
Okay.
You can't say mashaqqa. You can't say means يعني hardship, because hardship is غير منضبط. It's not something a guy can say, look, I traveled and I never even felt like I traveled. Like I was sleeping, I was picking up, by my bed.
But he has an option to carry on fasting.
No, but
because he hasn't felt that hardship.
No, pay attention, yeah. A person's a traveler.
Yeah.
Traveling, what's the reason why traveling you can break your fast?
You're saying it's not hardship.
No, why? Why can a person who's traveling break their fast? What's the illah? What's the illah reason?
Okay, what is it? The traveling itself, you're saying.
Here we're speaking very in an usuli perspective. A person is a traveler. A person is a traveler and they are traveling. You said that person, he can break his fast. He doesn't have to fast.
Yeah, that's the option.
He can combine between the prayers, right?
Correct.
He can shorten the prayers.
Yeah.
This rukhsa, was he given it? Why was he given it to him? Why he was given?
Because he's traveling. And with traveling, there is hardship.
So my point is that the issue of hardship, the reason it cannot be hardship. The reason why the hardship cannot be the reasoning.
Why?
Is because someone who's traveling, that reason might be lifted from them. He might say, I travel.
Yeah, but it's a general principle, and most people who travel do feel hardship.
But what about if he doesn't feel it?
Then he has a choice to carry on fasting.
No, but it's not choice, but he's that option, why is it given to him? He's not even gone through any hardship.
Okay, I see.
One brother can say, I was sleeping, I was picking up. I'm a heavy sleeper. My family just threw me into the car while sleeping. I was tired, I was sleeping. Then I went on the private jet that my family owned.
I see your point.
We got
the option is given to him, not because of hardship.
Another guy goes, I work in the tannoor. I work in the furnace. I make bread. في نهار Ramadan. I'm burning. We say, yeah, no problem. You still have to fast.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
The reason is because this issue of mashaqqa is غير منضبط.
Mashaqqa mean hardship.
Is غير منضبط. It's something that cannot be, we can't narrow it down. Mudaharat is like that. So the reasoning for it comes from outside.
Hardship is something intangible, because some person might say it's subjective. I'm feeling hardship.
It's subjective.
I get it. But how is protesting subjective?
As I said to you, the situations change from one situation to another situation. It could be striking. It could be non-striking. And it could be what can't be stopped from protest is that it's not something in and within itself. It's always external reasons that the prohibition comes from. The prohibition for it is the mafasid that are with it. And our religion is what? Dar'ul mafasid muqaddamun ala jalbil masalih. Repelling the harm takes precedence over bringing any good. You're telling me you want to bring good for the country, the people. Repel the harm. And we've got all of these harms. Now you have an argument which is strong now, which is, or anybody who believes protest is allowed, if now these 13 harms I mentioned,
they go away.
No, they're still there. But a greater harm is outstanding now.
Okay.
Like, for example, the government said...
But before we get there, you're saying that these harms can never go away.
Not all of them. Some of them can be removed.
Because of the democracy issue.
You can remove 1 or 2 or 3 out of the places. I'm saying to you, in the totality, I only mentioned 13. I'm sure if we sit down and we think more about it, we can bring hundreds of reasons why mudaharat is not allowed. Hundreds. Wouldn't be a problem. But what the question is that some of them are present, some of them are not present. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there. The point I'm trying to say to you, you can't deny. This is the real, I've sifted through the arguments. And I'm saying this is the strongest one, which is التعليل بأنها لا تخلو من مخالفات وأنها يترتب عليها مفاسد. I've yet to hear about a protest that people went, that things didn't go wrong. Who's controlling it? Who are the people going to listen to? There's no idara or organization. People will know it.
It just seems like a weak argument because you're saying protests in and of themselves. I can't say that's wrong. It's because of everything connected to it. Like, I just feel like, can you have a protest with none of these things connected to it? In which case you'd have to say it's mubah, it's permissible.
Yeah, but I'm saying a person can give you an ideal situation of mudaharat. But I say that's in the mind of the person.
Yeah. But that means that you can't place a ruling on protesting. You place a ruling on free mixing. You place a ruling on missing your salah. You can place rulings on these things, but don't place a ruling on this. No, that's not fair, because we can have an idealistic
okay, give me a situation where all
I'm not saying it's happened.
The people waste their time.
Not necessarily, because you're doing for a maslaha. You're trying to change homosexuality being taught in schools, for example. That's a good thing. It's not a waste of time.
Okay, people, do they get from these protests, do these mujrimeen and criminals come and always try to, even Black Lives Matter, if you look at the protest that was going on, a lot of people were crying and screaming. I've been following these things. You see, A lot of people were screaming, please don't let some people hijack our mission. We've got an aim. We've got an objective. Shahid, you're in the West. How can you segregate people in protest? How? Where did you get this from? The people, government will be like, what are you doing?
You said you can't have a peaceful protest. There's always going to be people who come along.
I'm saying, no, I'm not also always saying. Sometimes it can be, it can happen that no bloodshed happens.
Yeah.
But the other mafasid are always there. You're telling me in London you're going to have a protest and a demonstration where men and women are not free mixing. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know. Okay, what about leaving off what the Sharia actually did sanction for us, like an-nasiha wa du'a wa sabr?
You can do that as well. There's a sa'a wa sa'a. You can do that in this hour, you can do that in another hour.
But the Sharia didn't chose that. And what about ikhtilalul amri? What about the safety going slightly? People fearing now, getting scared.
Again, it goes back to a peaceful protest instead of a violent protest.
I remember, subhanAllah, watching what happened in Egypt when the protest took place. Women were crying and getting raped. They got raped, gang raped by men.
Yeah, but there's a peaceful protest like Gandhi when he protested against the British.
Did you question everybody who was there, who felt some people might have got bullied?
No, did you?
And I'm saying to you that, but I know it doesn't detach itself from it. I'm seeing 99.9% cases where women feel like they got touched by somebody from behind, or somebody pushed her over, or say, وقرن في بيوتكن ولا تبرجن تبرج الجاهلية الأولى وأقمنا الصلاة.
Let them stay at home. Let the men protest. I'm saying there is a way that we can say a protest is halal. It's not like alcohol. But it's not like we can say this.
Why would you tell the sisters to stay at home if you need their numbers in the first place? You need their numbers, right? For the whole point of the demonstration is the numbers. So if you tell the sisters to stay at home, and they're the majority, by the way, they're the most. Shahid, you see my point? It's a demonstration. The best argument for it is not that it's bid'ah, not that it's tashabbuh bil kuffar, I don't think it's not strong enough.
Okay.
The strongest argument to say it's muharram is بأنها لا تخلو من مخالفات. That there is one way or another a harm that's going to be present in that protest.
Give me a harm that is connected to the protest in and of itself.
I mentioned that مخالفة دعوة الأنبياء. it goes against, especially da'wah to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. His da'wah stood upon what? على إصلاح الرعية التي هي طريق طبيعي. Starting from the people and making your way up.
Yeah, you can do that as well. I'm saying you can do that, but also we can protest. You have to show me it's impermissible to protest.
No, you can't do that. That sense, protest does go against the way that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was. For example, the protest, what is it doing? It's speaking to the leader. Fix this, or this problem won't be fixed. That's what you're trying to say.
Non-Muslim leader. We're talking about non-Muslim.
Yeah, whatever leader it is.
Yeah.
You're speaking to a leader and you're requesting that leader to rectify the situation, and you're saying it'll trickle down.
Yeah.
I'm saying to you that the people, generally speaking, this is a general state, they should believe that the rectification comes from them, not the leader. The leader's just, he could be sitting in that seat and the people could read.
But this is just an action they're taking. The aada of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions at the time was not to protest. That was their custom. That was their norm. In the 21st century, we live in non-Muslim lands where protesting does raise awareness. I'll quote you the civil rights movement, for example, in America. An entire nation, an entire legislation was changed because it started from protesting. We might not agree with the feminism movement, but they ultimately did make progress through protesting. These are ways that people change. You can't sit here and tell me that just because the Prophet ﷺ didn't take this means. The ibadah is not connected to protesting in of itself. The ibadah is connected to making better laws for the Muslims in the UK. This is just a means, just like me driving to the masjid. That's not an ibadah within itself. It's just a means to get to the masjid.
Again, I told you before, it is it's strengthening the pillars of democracy. This is allowing something we wish for it to go. You're strengthening it, you're empowering it, you're endorsing it by doing that. I don't want you to always try to push the example away, because the point is that one example may apply on a situation and not on another situation or another situation. But what there is always a problem in demonstration. That's what my point is. The poet, he said, Sahib al-Maraqi, he said, وَالشَّأْنُ لَا يُعْتَرَضُ الْبِثَالُ إِذْ قَدْ كَفَى الْفَرْضُ وَالْإِحْتِمَالُ. Every situation, there is always going to be a mafsada present in demonstration, one or the other.
Which is going to be?
All that which you're mentioning to me, that there won't be this problem, I'll make sure the men and women don't free mix. It's all hypothetical. It's always in your mind.
But that's how fiqh is.
But we need to work with the waqi' that we see and what's happened in the past. We've not yet seen a protest where there's no free mixing. We've not yet seen that.
It doesn't mean we can't see one in the future. Fiqh is based on theoretical rulings.
I'm saying to you, all of these mafasid, I didn't mention one. I said, for example, فتح المجال للمفسدين من المجرمين والمخربين. Opening the doors for corrupt people, criminals, people who غوغاء. They take this, they use this opportunity. They like that numbers in order to commit a crime because they can hide in the people. So they loot, they do things. And this is every single protest I've looked at. I've always seen that which I could say haram, 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 haram. Let's not go too far back. Let's look at the last protest that took place that we will know about.
In a non-Muslim country.
Yeah, Western country.
Go on.
The protest for the Black Lives Matter. Okay, it started in Minnesota. People were doing it. A whole entire police station got burned down. Shops were looted. Muslim people's shops were looted. They can't stop it now. It's out of hand. Go on YouTube and watch it. People are begging, please do not hijack what we're trying to represent here. Within that, some people put a spin to it and they started using that protest for some other people that they remembered and things like that. What my point is that protest, once it happens, you can't stop it. It was through protest that Uthman radiallahu anhu was killed. You know what I mean? That's how it started. People protested around his house, sieged, the sword was shithered, and he was killed.
I agree that protests in the past.
Because once it starts, police have to come. Why do police come if there's safety? Why do they have to bring their shit and protect? Why is fire always? Why throwing things at the police? People lose their composure. So protest saying it doesn't have mafasid shar'iyya, Islamic mafasid. This is all I'm trying to draw home to you, that this last final reason of there being harm, shar'i harms, is high. اختلال الأمن, safety. You think at the beginning, okay, I've got this under control. We've got people. You can't promise because people are more than you, and you don't have a soldiers to pin the people down and take them to the corner and drag them out of the machine. You don't have that. It's all assumption.
But just because the likeliness is high, does that mean that we can say this is haram?
In the Sharia. We base things on ghalabatul dhann.
Okay, but watching TV, for example, the asl of watching TV, is it permissible?
Yeah,
you can watch a nature documentary on TV. Is that haram?
Which one?
A nature documentary on TV, for example, is that haram?
From the time of,
It's haram?
No, I'm saying wasting your time is haram.
Okay, but let's just say you're pondering over the creation of Allah.
MashaAllah, may Allah reward you. Go outside.
So there's nothing wrong with that. Say COVID's outside and you want to stay inside.
No, I'm just saying to learn النادر لا حكم له. النادر لا حكم له. Rare situations don't have a ruling. Giving me an obscure, random, minute situation and then trying to make me say yes to something very big. I'm saying to you, we've got demonstration, killing, massacring, the civil rights movement. Look at what happened. How many people died? How many people were killed, were murdered? With that being said, all I'm trying to say here is I want people who are listening to understand. I'm saying that protest is haram because of these mafasid,
which are inevitably going to come unless someone presents like a complete hypothetical scenario which has never happened in the past, talking about Muslim brothers coming with a small group and no sisters there, and it's between the time of Dhuhr and Asr, so no salawat are missed, and etc.
And I don't think anyone should try to argue and say protesting does not have any mafasid. وَلَا يَتَرَتَّبُ عَلَيْهَا مَفَاسِد. That's just far-fetched, and I think it's not being fair.
Okay. Fine.
I think a valid argument.
Yeah, I'm going to come on to that now. So this is the next thing that people say then. Now, if you have a protest and we agree that there is mafasid attached to the protest, which means that it shouldn't be done. Question, if what you're protesting for is a mafsada azima, a greater harm that's coming, say for example, the UK government want to shut down all the masajid, and now you have a chance to change that legislation through protesting, are you allowed to do it then?
Now, beautiful. So let's look at this issue. Protest is haram.
Okay,
it's a mafsada.
Yeah.
We don't deny that. We say, okay, because the group of people who say that it's not a mafsada, it's fine, what's wrong with it? It's an issue. We want them first of all to come to the conclusion that it's haram, muharram, it's got mafasid, mallahu bihi alim. There are tons of mafasid that we can mention. Now we have a greater mafsada, greater than the current one. يعني greater than اختلاط الرجال بالنساء, greater than some of that which we mentioned, which is فتح المجال للمفسدين من المجرمين والمخربين. We have a greater harm than that. Al-Allama Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin at this point, and it's a very strong argument he brought forward, he said it's now in this situation, especially Western governments, they hear your voice through demonstrations. That's the way that the government hears what you have to say. And there's no other way they will listen unless they feel under the pressure that the whole entire community is against them on this issue. So in a situation like that, Shaykh ibn Uthaymin gave the fatwa, the permissibility that he doesn't see any problem with the Muslims demonstrating in order to, but the harm that's there has to be less than the greater harm that's going to come if they don't protest.
Okay.
Which is what is called irtikabu aqall al-mafsadatayn. Yani protesting for the lesser of the two harms. Now the lesser harm is what we've mentioned compared to the masajid being closed or يعني قضايا عظيمة for the Muslims. In a situation like that, Shaykh ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah, who's a great scholar of our time, said it's permissible. And I can see that as a valid differences where both parties can. I still hold the opinion that it's not allowed.
Even in that circumstance?
I believe personally it's best to avoid it and to leave it and not to go.
Even if the UK government wants to close down the masajid, for example,
I believe
still
the thing is
the ends don't justify the means.
Yeah, and also it's really hard to actually say that it's going to actually work.
True.
Because the reason I'm going to do this mafsada is that I'm sure that this harm that I'm going to tread on is definitely going to be a result. I don't think there's no certainty for sure that they're going to listen, and there's no ghalabatul dhann. Also, the number of Muslims are very small, and the people who are against the Muslims are very large, and the government isn't definitely not in any way, shape or form willing to even consider what the Muslims say. So I don't think it's a working method. If somebody else chooses to take that approach and he feels like it's going to work, I think he's got a great bona fide, undisputed Imam of our time, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin, who based it on a very strong usuli perspective to say that it's less of two harms. But I don't think it's, my humble opinion, I don't think looking at the way Shaykh sees it and the way that the reality turns out to be, it doesn't change anything. I'll give you a prime example.
Go on.
Black Lives Matter in America right now, the biggest protest they did. That protest went from border to border. It went to countries. I don't think in any way, shape or form that's going to change police brutality towards black people. I mean, I don't want to weaken the effort that was put in, and I don't want to undermine the people's hard work. But I just think some things is just demonstration just seems like a weak way of voicing your opinion. It's like, please take the palm off me. It doesn't.
And when you say that, in my humble opinion, I disagree with Shaykh ibn Uthaymin, for example. It's not necessarily you've other ulama are on your side as well.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm not there. I'm not able to go to the evidence myself and disagree with a great Imam of our time like that. I'm saying there are other scholars who said otherwise.
In that instance, when someone is trying to identify what is the lesser of two evils, it goes back to the people.
The ulama.
Okay, and we already established.
Even this situation of the masajids, is the threat real? Is it actually a real threat, or is it just one news outlet released something, and is it actually a real threat? What's the reality of it actually even happening, or is this guy just saying it just to provoke, or he just wants a voice and he wants to get a voice for his. Because nowadays, anything you say bad about Muslims, it gives you voice from other communities. So is he actually really going to do it? All of that Ahlul Ilm are the ones who determine it.
Okay, and your solution for the people who say the scholars who are not in the West don't understand our reality is for the students of knowledge in the West who do understand the reality to take it
back to the ulama.
Okay.
What's weird, that's actually really weird about some people, is that they say that and they say that's not import, and then the same time they tell you Ibn Uthaymin permitted demonstration.
Right, yeah. So they pick and choose when it suits them, basically.
When it suits them,